Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought it would be pretty fun to share with you guys the top 10 baby names that I love but I would never use. And actually I have a bonus name for each a girl and a boy.
So, let's get started.
No, we have a little bit of a theme going on with all A's. My name does, my brother's name begins with an A, and so does my mother, and she kind of, I guess, started that little thing. And I didn't plan on following that. It just so happens that the names that I actually fell in love with all began with the letter A. If we ever did want more kids, I just would probably just want one more. Hopefully a boy. Since I have two girls, I would want my son to have a brother as well. Let's get into the names. I just thought I'd give you a little bit of a background, but I am a rambler, so I'm just gonna cut that off and get into the names. So the first name that I have for a boy and the girl first name, the girl name is not really a name, sort of. I don't know if that's how you want to put it, but I'll start with that. Khaleesi. all of you that watch Game of Thrones, you will know exactly where that name came from. So that is the Lady of Dragons or the Mother of Dragons. And I don't even think her name is Khaleesi. I think that she is a Khaleesi, like a tribe or something. I don't know. I didn't get in depth with that, but the name, like Khaleesi, like the way that it rolls off of your tongue, like it's just Khaleesi. Like, I don't know, it just sounds so cute. But that's definitely not a name that I would name my child nowadays. They're not the nicest. The first name for the boy would be Kai, spelled Kai. So Kai, I actually saw that when I was looking up some boy names, but it was just harder for me to come up with the boys' names. So I saw that name Kai and I was like, oh, that's cute, but I don't think I would ever name my son Kai. Just, I don't know, it sounds more of like a nickname, but I do love the name. But you know, Kai, come here, Kai. Like, I don't know, it just sounds like a nickname, so I don't think I would ever use that. So name number 2 would be Aria, and that's obviously for a girl. So I started watching Pretty Little Liars way back when it first came out, and the moment Aria was introduced, I was like, oh my god, that is such a beautiful name, like Aria. It's so pretty, and it's spelled Aria, and my daughter's name is Ariana, and I was like, why couldn't this show have come out when I gave birth to her? Because we call my daughter Ari for short. But if I had known of that name Aria before I named her and gave her nickname definitely would have been Aria. Like, I don't care if that's just the whole name in itself. Like, I would have definitely called her Aria, because Aria sounds a little bit more, it's a lot prettier than Ari. Like, Ari, I feel like a little boy can be, his actual name can be Ari. I wish I would have heard of that name before, so that could have been my daughter's nickname. So boy name number 2 would be Mason. I absolutely love the name Mason. It's so cute, and every little boy Mason that I have met, he is just the sweetest and cutest little boy. I know so many Masons, and I fall in love with each Mason that I find. But coming up with my son's name, that was one of our top picks. But I have my cousin named Mason, and on my boyfriend's side, he had a couple of Masons on his side, so it was like, yeah, no, so we didn't go with that name. So name number 3 for a girl is Audrina. Doesn't that sound so pretty? Like, Audrina, so pretty. And again, keeping with the A theme names, I don't know why I fall in love with these names. So when we told his father that was her name, he would always call her Adriana. So one day he came over to visit her after she was born, and he's like, oh, Adriana, come here. Not come here, but Adriana. Well, he did say, Adriana, come here. Like, I was holding her, and he's like, Adriana, come here. And I'm like, Adriana? that's not her name. And it's like, and he's just like looking at us like, oh, what's her name? And we're like, Ariana. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I was just like, Audrina, that's actually a really pretty name.
And her father at the time was just like, that is a really pretty name. Do you want to make any changes? And I was like, no.
Oh, but that is a really pretty name. So obviously now if I had another girl in the future, I wouldn't name her Adriana. So the the third name for a boy would be Giovanni or Gianni. This is probably my all-time favorite, but that should have been his name. I have been in love with that name since I heard it. It's either Giovanni or Gianni. Like both, they're two different names, but I put them in one because I don't know if Gianni is short for Giovanni. I'm not sure. But this is such a handsome, like, masculine name to me. Like, I really, really love the name. Unfortunately, my boyfriend, I couldn't get him on board with naming our son that because he had a cousin that was born a couple of months prior to my son being born, and his name was Giovanni, and he was just not going for it. But that should have been my son's name. Like, his name should have been either Gianni or Giovanni. If his name was Giovanni, I'm pretty sure I would have called him Gianni for short, or G or something, you know? That's just... And unfortunately, if we ever have another son in the future, that's not a name that he would go for. So,
you know, a girl can only dream. If I have like a pet or like a dog or something, I can name my dog like Gianni or something. I don't know. Do people name their dogs like human names? They do, right? Because there's like Chloe and Zoe. Those are all human names. Anyway.
So the fourth name that I have for, is that the fourth name? Yes, the fourth name that I have for a girl is Brielle. And you'll see the spelling here. I would spell it a lot different. And that was actually one of the top runners for my daughter. My youngest daughter, I mean, her name her name was a toss-up between Brielle and Elena. And the reason why we chose Elena is because it looked nicer when we spelled it out in script.
I am so crazy. We are so crazy. I hope there's other people that do this. Like, you have to like look at the name, like you have to spell it out. First you have to spell it in print, and then you have to like spell it out in like script. And that's kind of how we picked Elena, because it looked so beautiful spelled out.
Yeah, and then also with Brielle, the way that I spelled it, I like it. The only reason why I like it so much is the way that I would spell it. I don't like the original spelling for Brielle. It just doesn't look nice. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't look nice to me. And I figured a lot of people would have a really hard time pronouncing the name Brielle. Like, they would just, I don't know, probably get confused. So I didn't go with that. And a little funny story. So my daughter's name is Elena, and it's spelled Alayna. Any doctor, any place that we go to where I have to spell out her name, they never get it right. They always end up calling her like Alana. Like, I'm mind blown. I'm like, there's no H in her name. Elena. It's Elena. The same way that it's spelled, that's how you say it. Elena. There's no confusion there. There's no silent H. The Y is not pronounced like an H. Like, I don't know why people call her Alana. So we'll be sitting in the doctor's office and they'll be like, Alana? And I know that they're talking about Elena, but I just stay sitting there, you know, on my phone, or I'll be playing with the baby, and I will not get up until they try to figure out her name and get it correct, because it's like, it's the easiest name. I don't understand. They will finally get it right. Like, they'll look at it and then they'll be like, Elena? And you know, the little exclamation of the question mark at the end when they say it, and then it's just like, okay, I'm coming. And they're like, oh, we called Alana. I'm like, yeah, no, her name is not Alana. It's Elena. They're like, oh, I get confused with the spelling. How do you get confused with the spelling? Alayna. There's no confusion. Anywho, back to the fourth name for the boy, and that is the name Ayden. Isn't it such a cute name? I love the name Ayden. Like, I absolutely adore the name Ayden, and again, that was in the running for my son's name, but of course, me and my boyfriend both have big families, so I feel like any name that we picked out, someone in our family had him, and if not in my family, in his family. So no one in my family is named Ayden, but his cousin's name is Ayden, and he looks at his cousin like a son. Like, he watched him grow up. I believe he's like 11 years old now. So he's just like, there can be no other Ayden and blah, blah, blah. So Ayden got thrown out the window like really early on. But I do love the name Ayden. So the fifth name that I have for a girl is Gianna. Now, this name, I used to think that if I had another girl after my first daughter, I thought if I had another girl, her name would definitely be Gianna. But then I started like saying it, and I just kind of like, I didn't want her nickname to be Gia, and I just like, it just didn't flow as well as it did. I mean, I love the name Gianna. If her name would have been Gianna, like, I wouldn't have want her to have a nickname. But you know, nowadays everyone shortens your name. Like, your name can be Kai, and people are just gonna call you K. So, I mean, everyone wants to shorten the name. So I didn't want her nickname to be Gianna or anything like that. And then I always thought, well, if I have a son named Giovanni, I can't have a Gianna, because Gio and Gia is like, no, it didn't mix well, because like I said before, my son's name should have been Giovanni/Gianni, you know, whatever the case may be. But absolutely, I do think that Gianna is a very pretty name. I just didn't like any type of nickname that would have went with the name. So the fifth name for a boy would have been Lucas. So I think that is such a cute name, Lucas, and I don't know, I'm not sure why we didn't end up picking that name for my son. He definitely doesn't look like a Lucas now. Like, he looks like an Avery. I mean, I think you probably say that with all your children if you had different names picked out for them, and you're like, no, well, he looks like an Avery. But yeah, I mean, I like the name Lucas. I'm not sure why we didn't decide on that. But yeah. Now, the bonus name that I have for a girl is Naomi. And I just always, when I was younger, I really, really, really liked that name. It was Naomi and Cecilia that I really liked. Cecilia kind of fell off. I had a landlord. Her name was Cecilia, and she just wasn't a nice lady, so that name went out the window. But Naomi has always been like a sweet little name that I always liked. But I probably never would name my child Naomi, just because, I don't know, I think I know a little bit too many Naomis. So the last name that I have for a boy, the bonus name, is Niko. Now, I think Niko is, I think it's the shortened version of Nicholas, I believe. I'm not sure. But Niko, I wanted to name my son just Niko, not like Nicholas, just Niko, like his name is Niko. So funny, because after my son was born, one of my uncles had came over, you know, to see the baby and everything, and he's just like, oh, hey, Rico. And I'm like, Rico? He's like, he looks like a Rico Suave. I'm just like, oh my God, you're so ridiculous. He looks like a Rico. So then I'm like, you know, that's funny, because I wanted to name him Niko. And he's like, oh, even better. So I don't know if my uncle was being sarcastic with me, or if he was just like, yeah, he looks like something with the O, like Rico, Mario. I'm just like, oh my God, my uncle's crazy. He's just crazy. And that is actually it for it's actually, what is it? 12. The 12 top baby names that I love but would never name my children. This was really fun to just sit down and just really think about like names that you wanted to name your children, and thinking about why you didn't name your child that. So I really had a really good time doing this video. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this video as well. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!